Federal investigators are leading an inquiry into the fatal shooting of a 37-year-old woman by a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) agent in South Minneapolis, an incident that has triggered protests, school closures, and a widening dispute between federal officials and Minnesota leaders over what happened in the seconds before shots were fired. The woman, identified by local officials as Renee Nicole Good, was shot Wednesday morning during an ICE operation in a residential area. Minneapolis officials said police responded to reports of shots fired just after 9:30 a.m., found the victim with life-threatening wounds, and she was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center, where she later died. What authorities say happened. Federal officials have described the shooting as self-defense, alleging Good used her vehicle as a weapon. In a live updates briefing, ABC News reported that the Department of Homeland Security claimed the woman was attempting to run over law enforcement, while Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem publicly characterized the incident as domestic terrorism. Minnesota and Minneapolis leaders have strongly disputed that account, pointing to bystander video circulating online. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said the footage he reviewed did not support the federal characterization, and he condemned the federal operations conduct in the city. Reuters, which verified and described widely shared video, reported that the SUV briefly reversed as officers approached and pulled at the driver's door handle, then moved forward while turning to the right, appearing to attempt to drive away. An agent positioned near the front of the vehicle fired 3 shots, including at least one after the front of the car had passed him. The video did not clearly show whether the officer was struck, though federal officials said the officer was taken to a hospital and released. A separate Washington Post visual analysis similarly reported that the agent was able to move out of the vehicle's path and fired at least 2 shots from the side as the SUV veered away, raising questions about public claims that the officer was run over. Protests and heightened tensions. By Thursday morning, demonstrations had gathered around the Whipple Federal Building, where an immigration court is housed, amid heavy law enforcement presence. Reuters reported that officers used crowd control measures including tear gas and pepper balls during confrontations with protesters. In a statement posted by the city of Minneapolis, Frey said the city had dreaded this moment amid increased federal immigration activity and urged residents to remain peaceful, warning against actions that could invite further escalation. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has urged calm while also criticizing the federal surge. Reuters reported he placed the National Guard on alert, and Minneapolis public schools announced closures Thursday and Friday as a precaution. FBI now in control. While early reporting described both federal and state involvement, Minnesota state investigators say they have now been cut out of the process. According to KSTP, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension (BCA) said the FBI informed the agency that the U.S. Attorney's Office had reversed course and would allow the investigation to be conducted solely by the FBI, leaving state investigators without access to evidence and interviews needed to complete an independent state-level investigation. The BCA superintendent said the agency therefore withdrew. FBI now in control. While early reporting described both federal and state involvement, Minnesota state investigators say they have now been cut out of the process. According to KSTP, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension (BCA) said the FBI informed the agency that the U.S. Attorney's Office had reversed course and would allow the investigation to be conducted solely by the FBI, leaving state investigators without access to evidence and interviews needed to complete an independent state-level investigation. The BCA superintendent said the agency therefore withdrew. Legal experts note that cases involving vehicles often hinge on whether an officer reasonably believed they faced imminent death or serious bodily harm, standards that exist in both Minnesota and federal law, and that federal officers may have protections depending on whether they were acting within the scope of their duties. For now, the shooting remains under investigation as public officials and residents await further detail on the agent's actions, the precise trajectory of the vehicle, and the decision-making captured in the bystander videos at the center of the competing narratives.